How's everybody doing today? I'm Jacob Jackson and I work with OWUP. Today we are going to be talking about the power of SEO and how it can help you transform your online presence and solidify your corner of your respective online marketplace. So I do want to let you guys know that I woke up this morning with some sinus drainage and it's been causing me to cough. So if I mute my mic for just a second, please bear with me. It's a little too late now. So next slide. So about me, Jacob Jackson. I am from Aberdeen, Mississippi. Tiny, tiny farm town. If you drove past the red light, you would completely miss it. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that, Stephanie. So I joined the Air Force straight out of high school. During my 6 years of service, I managed IT systems and security across the Air Force. So my last year of my enlistment, I leveraged a work-study program during my last year to learn web development and SEO. And then after I separated, I joined OWUP, and I have been working with them for 2 years now. A little bit about me. I am adventurous, outdoorsy. I love my dog. That was when he was a puppy. It's Igor. He is now 130 pounds. So keep going on. Oh, so who is OWUP? We are a digital marketing agency with one purpose, and that is to help you guys sell more products online. We consider ourselves industry experts at marketing watches and jewelry online, and our primary focus uses marketing tactics such as Facebook, Instagram, Google, MailChimp, web development, and SEO. We've tailor-made our systems and adapted them to bring your age-old traditions into a modern web front. And we do that by understanding the industry. And we understand the industry because we've worked in the industry for well over 10 years. Not me, you just saw my background. But my partners have been working in the industry for 10 years, and they started out selling products on the store floor and then went into managing the store floor. And that's where we saw we could help people sell more product online. So what does online shopping mean to you guys? We think that online shopping is a way to showcase your inventory online before they ever step foot into your store and allow potential customers to be drawn in to your store by building trust and rapport with them. Basically, you're allowing people to window shop and get to know you before ever stepping foot into your door. And your website is always on 24/7, 365. So our key method of success for our clients is search engine optimization. And today we're going to cover the do's and don'ts on a high level and how it can help you grow. We're going to cover topics on keywords, title tags, meta descriptions. We're going to briefly cover technical SEO on a high level today. And if you have any further questions or want more detailed answers, I've allocated like 10 to 15 minutes at the end here. And our contact information will be there as well. So we're also going to be showing you a little bit of our data on why we think SEO is the best investment for jewelry stores. So search engine optimization. Well, what is SEO? SEO is the art of making content rank higher and increasing organic traffic to your website. So I have included a snippet here of a Google search page. And I searched for jewelry repair tips. So you might be asking, how do you rank higher on Google search pages? Well, you do that by producing and posting relevant content. And when we say that we think SEO is an investment, it's something that grows over time. You're not going to get hundreds of web visitors, the first 3 articles you post. It's slowly going to compound on itself over time. And you will see results if you just keep going with it. So search engine results pages, I skipped this one, but the screenshot here is a search engine results page. So the higher up you are on these search engine results pages, the more traffic you're going to get. There's a funny marketing joke that the best place to hide a body is on the second page of Google. And if you look at the data, 90% of web traffic will never make it to the second page. And if you dig even further down in that data, the first organic link on Google is going to eat up, take 90% of the web traffic before the second link ever even gets clicked on. So technical SEO, what is that? It ensures that your website design meets technical requirements to help you improve your rankings naturally. We're going to cover technical SEO in a slide here in just a minute, so I'm not going to talk to it too much right now. But search engines, I guess a good way to think about it is they're sort of a bouncer at a club. They're making sure that you have enough credibility to be shown and be allowed into the first page of Google. So like you're a VIP, I guess. And the keywords, title tags, meta descriptions, and context. In the example here, you can see I searched for jewelry repair tips, and it just brought up a bunch of articles related to what I wrote about. We're going to cover that in the next slide. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So this is a brief overview of what goes into SEO and a little bit of a short list. So our first point here is Google Keyword Planner. We specifically recommend Google Keyword Planner for people because, one, it's free. I'm sure you've heard of competitors such as SEMrush or Moz, but they're paid. And one of the things about them is their data that they use for keyword searches is only estimated based on web traffic and web visitors. So when you're looking at Google Keyword Planner, the data is going to be much more accurate because it's coming straight from the source. So two is let me step back a minute. I have included an image here of Google Keyword Planner. You can go in here and search for a keyword. So in this example, I searched for jewelry repair, watch repair, and jewelry repair tips, and it has provided me with the average monthly searches. And that's going to lead us into keywords and long tail keywords. So what is the difference between a keyword and a long tail keyword? Well, a keyword is generally one or two words. It's a noun or a descriptor or a brand, like something very specific, right? And those terms are going to be generally super hard to rank for, and they're going to have tons of monthly searches. But in the same hand, it's going to be super hard to rank for. So what a lot of people like to do is look for long tail keywords. So what is a long tail keyword? Well, a long tail keyword is something that is 3 or more words long. It's generally like a phrase or a problem or how do you fix this, stuff like that. So in the example of the image there, in my search, it also gave me some keyword ideas. So watch repair near me is a wonderful example of a long tail keyword. So in that context of what they're searching for there, somebody is looking for somebody to repair their watch near them. And when we're looking at the title tags, and the two examples in the bottom, I've included a good example and a bad example. So the top one there, they have a great example or a great use of including their keywords and even a long tail keyword in there, such as jewelry repairs 101. But if we go further down, the meta description there is too long. They've included their keyword in the title tag and the meta description, but their meta description is just a bit too long and it's not clear on what the page is. So if we look at the second one on the bottom, jewelry repair, cleaning, and maintenance, their meta description is very clear. It's included the keyword in the meta description and in their title tag, but it's short and to the point about what is on the page. So for example, when you're thinking about like keywords to write for and stuff, if somebody was searching for like a Tissot C-Star 1000, they might also search for the Tissot C-Star Blue Dial or the unique reference number for that watch. It's important that you be strategic for different search phrases that may mean the same thing so that you can position yourself for all of them and tell the searcher what they can find and expect on each page. Any questions, guys? how do you edit the title tags and meta descriptions? Well, it really depends on the platform that you use. If you have Shopify or Squarespace, you may have a tool built in. But if you use WordPress, there's many different tools such as Yoast, all-in-one SEO, there's Rank Math, and I'm pretty sure there's a few more, but they all do the same thing. So in your SEO title here, I don't know how well you guys can see the presentation. I don't know if it's fuzzy or not, but there's green bars. And then in the Shopify example, it says 0 out of 70 characters used. Well, your SEO title needs to be a certain length. You don't want it too long and you don't want it too short. There's a sweet spot, and that's what this bar is trying to tell you. You can write it as long as you want, but Google is going to negatively penalize you for that and affect how high you get on the search results pages. Now, if we look at the meta description, it's the same thing. There's a set length that you want to follow, and you don't want to go too long. You also want to include your keywords and or search phrases in your meta description and title tag if possible. If it doesn't make sense, don't use it in that situation. But if it fits and it makes sense, do it. But you also don't want to spam your keywords over and over again, because that's going to negatively affect you as well. So, on-page SEO. In this slide, we're going to talk about a few topics such as headings, content, keywords, and then we're going to get into links just a hair, but that's mostly on the next slide. So in this example that I've put on the screen here, it's a frequently asked questions section. And they have used a great example of long tail keywords. So first off, Google is always going to give the searcher the best and most relevant information possible. And one of the best ways to do that is with blog articles and text content. So that's why we suggest all of our clients have a blog. In this example, if somebody's searching for my automatic watch stops after I take it off, you guys probably know the answer for that, but most people don't. So you can write answers to these simple questions that everyday people come in with and post a fact on your website, and you're going to look like an expert and you're going to boost your SEO score all at the same time. So then the example you have, I dropped my watch and now it doesn't run. That is a wonderful example of a long tail keyword because it is, well, more than 2 words long, kind of self-explanatory, but it is a phrase that somebody has a problem and they're searching for how to fix it. So if you look at what they wrote about, when a watch is dropped, a sudden impact may cause an axle of 1 or more wheels to break. Most commonly, the balance staff, the axle of the wheel that makes the tick-tock noise breaks, the balance staff will need to be replaced in conjunction with a complete maintenance. That the content should also match your heading of what you're talking about. If, in that example, they wrote, or I dropped my watch and now it doesn't run, but then they wrote, they're talking about watch depth testing, Google will know the context of what you're writing about. They'll read it, and if it doesn't match what your headings and keywords are, you will get negatively penalized for it. So when we're talking about links here in your content, you generally want to include 1 to 3 links in your blog article. Not only does it help with the way Google looks at your page, but it also helps keep people active on your website and engaged. It helps build reputation with them. And also the biggest thing is it helps them become paying customers. The longer somebody stays on your website, the higher the chances are that you convert them into a paying customer. So a little bit more about keywords. So keywords, you should include them, but do not stuff them. And what I mean by that is some of the old school methods of SEO was to write, if you carried like Omega watches, for example, to write Omega watches 200 times on a page, and you could set the text to white so nobody would see it, or you could cover it up with an image. And that used to be how it worked. But now you can't do that. Google will drag you to the cleaners for that. So please don't ever do that one. But yeah, if you have any questions on SEO, we're going to keep going. So technical SEO, what is it? Technical SEO is the performance and reputation of your site. It is important, but it is largely a smaller part of your overall SEO score. And we recommend putting a lot of your efforts into content if your page speed is under 2 seconds. The reason we say that page speed is so important is if you think about an example of yourself. How many times have you guys clicked on a website link in Google and it didn't load in 2 seconds and you close out of it and you move on to the next one? 90% of people will click out of a web page if it doesn't load within a relatively good speed. And 2 seconds is just an arbitrary number, but that's what we aim for. A quick tip on how to increase page speed is to get your image files as small as possible, and don't include too many dynamic elements or visuals, because all of those things will increase load times. In the industry, generally less is more. You don't see Rolex or Louis Vuitton with animated jumping men or GIFs all over the page. So just keep it simple. This is going to bring us into backlinks. Backlinks are technically like vouchers between your domain and somebody else's. And the more relevant your backlink source is, the better it's going to be. So a good way to get backlinks is through maybe reaching out to a local business directory or a local news organization, or maybe you have an industry blogger in your area and ask them to post a blog article for you with a link. And that's going to bring us into domain authority. Domain authority is kind of your reputation on the internet. And that's why backlinks are so important. They go hand in hand, because every domain has its own ranking. And if you're getting backlinks from really low ranking domains like shady websites and stuff, it's going to negatively affect you, and it's going to be a struggle to get yourself back out of those bad rankings. So one of the things you can do if you carry certain brands or major brands that are nationwide or international, they generally have a store locator that you can use. And if you carry their brand, well, you should be able to get listed in the store locator. And it's a very trustworthy backlink source. So if there's no questions about backlinks, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay. So this is the slide about why we named our presentation The Power of SEO. The pie chart on the left is a average taken from all of our client bases on their revenue channels. And as you see, organic search is 62% of our clients' revenue. And you see paid search is only 3.5%. It's a tiny fraction. Now, we're not saying just toss away all of your ads. We still think paid search has its uses, mainly with retargeting, brand awareness, and just staying on top of mind with potential customers. But other SEO marketers have also stated that SEO has almost twice the conversion rates of paid ads, and that SEO can drive up to 50% more traffic per dollar spent. And that's why we think that SEO is potentially the best investment for dollar spent. So that's going to bring us to the end, getting to the end of our presentation. I talked way too fast. So some closing thoughts and tips for your store going forward. When you're producing content, think about the brands that sell the best. Don't try to sell a product that doesn't sell in your store. It may not be y'all's fault. It more than likely is the brand itself that hasn't been doing the marketing to increase mind share with customers across the country. 2 is produce unique product descriptions. Well, what does that mean? If you carry, for example, Omega watches, the product images and specs are going to be written the same on each and every store across the country. The only way for you to stand out is to provide unique text content you write yourself, which is the product description. It doesn't need to be posh. It doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be honest and explain the product in your own words. So maybe when the client visits your store and talk with them, you can explain to them why you wrote it that way. And that goes to say with everything. The tone of voice on your website should match what you tell your customers in store. 3, register in image banks if you haven't done so already. So use high quality images and not pixelated images. Prospective searchers need to be shown exactly how the product looks in detail. And many brands that you may carry already may have an image bank that you can register in and get high quality images to save a ton of time. I didn't see your question. Oh, okay, let me answer that in a minute. SEO tips. So some evergreen content example would be top watches for Christmas 2022. So all you'd have to do is write an article about what you thought the top watches were or what you think are for this year. And then next year for Christmas, all you have to do is replace the date, replace the products and some images and just a bit of text. And you now have a evergreen blog article that you can continually update every year and grow your SEO. So link building, I covered this one a little bit earlier, but discover if there are any local web directories, maybe your Chamber of Commerce, local news station can write articles about you guys and get the word out. And finally, we have writing. Okay, one moment, Torubia, and we'll answer some questions. So write engaging content, write experience pages, brand pages, or facts, and teach prospective customers about the products or brands you carry, and consider the experience you give customers in the store. So what does that mean? When we say write experience pages or brand pages, we're talking about a shop in shop sort of thing, sort of like how you at a Rolex shop in shop, you would set them down at the booth and you would sell them the watch and, you know, explain to them about why it looks so great and why Rolex is Rolex, right? And that's ultimately everything that we've been trying to say this whole presentation, is to try to translate your experience that you provide customers in your store to an online version. And that's going to bring us to the end of the presentation. And as I said, we've allotted some time. I believe I have a colleague in the chat to help answer questions. So yeah, thank you guys for joining today. And let me see. Stephanie, the breakdowns on slide 4. Were you asking about the pie chart? Yes, that was all related to Google. Google is largely the largest search provider. Yep. So how to approach SEO when you're an independent designer and sell fine jewelry when most costume jewelry write their SEO description as fine jewelry. The competition is insane when you're an independent designer. That's a good one.
One thing you can go about it is to maybe write articles about the latest jewelry trends. What are the jewelry trends for 2022? And you can explain your design ideas around that by telling people about the latest jewelry trends. Again, as an independent designer, I know the competition is insane. But then again, one way is, like Jacob mentioned, to use to do link building to get more authority, and again, another way, you know, use influencers, somebody that maybe has is micro-influencer with a blog or something that can be very open and honest about the review about your jewelry and link back to your website. The meta description should never be similar. Every description and title should always be unique. So maybe if you do have a given brand, I should include that. Maybe include the SKU, the reference number of the product, because in the watch and jewelry space, a lot of people are a lot of the time they have been into the manufacturer's website already, and now they want to see who's who if there's a local retailer for that brand, and then they would probably maybe look up the reference number. So for a local jeweler, yeah, absolutely, Scott. Unique words are critical. Absolutely. For a local jeweler, well, the first thing I would do is to get started with the meta descriptions for your products, and be very clear about the keywords, and try to focus on your brands or products that are already selling well. And then again, I would start blogging. You know, get started with writing landing pages for every brand to make like a shop in shop, like you maybe have in your store already. So yeah, I would start off with keywords and text content, and like Jacob mentioned earlier, there's nothing that happens overnight. So and a lot of times you won't see the results for the SEO results until maybe 6 to 9 months after you've done the work. So it's an ongoing process, but it's definitely worth it. And the more authority you get, the more faster you're going to reach the first page of Google or any other search engines on with your articles. Let me see. Torubia, how do you do it when you're targeting several countries? Each translation should have unique keywords. Well, I would also always recommend to have your website in the local language, but that really depends on how you if your products have a unique name, or and are known for certain collections and so on, maybe I wouldn't translate them, but definitely I would have descriptions written in the local language. I would. It's the thing about yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Scott. You can involve community specifics to identify you to your local shoppers. That's a good point. I wouldn't say, blogging is mandatory, but if you have, I would strongly recommend it to it's a very good way to get people to have a more like personal connection with you. But you probably have certain some certain landing pages on your website. I would strongly recommend to work with your best performing landing pages and update the content regularly from time to time, and to produce good content and good information on your existing landing pages. So a lot of times you can score high by not necessarily always write new blog articles, but you can update your existing ones.